Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Wise Ones. And joining me, as always, is my friend and co-host of this show. He's also an expert presenter on our Talking Heads platform. He is a certified elevated listener, and he is starting his own panel program about health. We also have a fabulous guest who is waiting backstage. We look forward to bringing her out. First, let's welcome red.olaughlin. Hi, Red.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN. Good to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yes, it's nice to see you as well. And I'd love for you to share some of your background. I want our audience to know how much I really enjoy working with you. I happen to have my two books that are available on Amazon, and you are my book coach who helped me get these as #1 Amazon bestsellers, and thank you for that.
Well, you're very, very kind, Dr. JACALYN. I'm a retired Navy officer, aviator. I got involved after I left Halliburton back, about 15 years ago, I guess, with self-improvement, motivation, those kinds of things. I wrote a couple books on that. I went around the country with my mentor giving presentations over the weekend, sold a lot of stuff in the back of the room. My wife came down with breast cancer. And before I met my wife, my first love was chemistry. Sophomore in high school, I fell in love with it. I knew right then I was going to get a degree in it. I did, except I got an invitation to Vietnam and never got a chance to practice my chemistry. However, that being that, years later, I retire. My wife has breast cancer. I'm starting to do some research. And I found out that my true passion is delving into the human body at the cellular level, looking for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always treat it. And so that's what kind of got me out of the self-improvement, motivation, self-esteem, that kind of mode. And then I started doing research, writing about it. I was able to affect a lot of the side effects my wife was having and ameliorating them or mitigating them. And over time, I said, I really like this a lot. So I started writing more and more in the fields of health and wellness. And then I found my real niche is that in aging, longevity. And I wrote a book on aging, Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging, in which I talk about the two primary causes of aging and what you can do to accelerate or decelerate the aging process. And then I went further and wrote another book on what are the basic causes of disease. How can you have a nice, healthy life? And a lot of these things we don't know about. I'll be talking right after this program today on a Talking Heads program. And for the next 2 weeks, we'll be talking about pain. What is pain? What can you do about it? And there's so many things that we don't know. You could have, we typically hear, okay, I got a heart deal. It's manifested by a shoulder pain, arm pain, jaw pain. And there's other things the same way. The pain may be coming from someplace, but it's not where you think it is. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But that being such, today we're on The Wise Ones, and we have a guest today coming up. And I'm going to get back to Dr. JACALYN, and we'll introduce our guest.
Thank you so much, Red, for sharing all of that information. I really do appreciate it. And I highly recommend that people contact Red as a book coach. He is phenomenal and he keeps you on point. I'm actually working with him now for the next book series, which we'll talk about later. So I get to see Red on a regular basis, and I've known him for a while now. He's top notch. He is someone with integrity, and he gets the job done, and he does it with a smile. So thank you, Red. Okay. We are now going to welcome our guest. And Red, I know that you know Tina. We've had Tina here on the program before. So if you would like to give an introduction, she's the founder and CEO of Mastery Under Pressure. What else would you like our audience to know?
she's a remarkable woman, entrepreneur. She does a lot of speaking, and she's just full of knowledge on so many different things about being able to help people, especially those people who are stressed out, people who are operating at the maximum end of everything. And sometimes we end up, as we get into management, we don't have a chance to continue our learning curve. And she has that ability to go in and look at what's there, look at what results you have, what kind of execution problems do you have. And some of us, even when we're in business, we have a tendency to have what we call limiting beliefs about ourselves and what we can do. And she is a real, I hate to underuse the term master, but she's a real expert with regard to mastery under pressure. And that's really what her gig is all about. So welcome, Tina.
Thank you
Hi,
so
Tina.
much. Hi, JACALYN. So good to see you both. Thank you so much. And I just want to add, thank you for that wonderful introduction, because you really do get me, Red. And what I do is kind of what you do with Jack. I love to go for the nugget. You know, what's really the cause? What's underneath all this stuff? And so what I do know about the mental health, kind of executing our being at our best is a lot of it is a secret. So many times people want to change. Matter of fact, most times people do want to change. They just don't know how. So it's the same thing with pain or disease, or, you know, let's get to the bottom line here. So that's my passion, really.
Thanks, Tina. I was wondering, how have things been progressing since we last saw you? What are some updates you can share? And then we'll get into your background.
Well, the biggest update probably is that I did get to give a TEDx talk, and that was on my bucket list. And it was a phenomenal experience, which we can talk a little bit more about if anybody's interested in really the preparation of it and how I used my skills as mastering under pressure to actually pull it off. And what else? I'm getting a new website, really hyper-focusing exactly on what Red said. I'm looking for people who are leaders, who think that they can do it all, but frequently can't, and kind of coming up against some of their own obstacles, because the great leaders then lead other people. And so we're looking for a big impact in teaching these mental health skills. And I'm busy having fun.
Thank you. We definitely do want to hear about your TEDx speaker opportunity, how that went, and the preparing for it. But I'd also love to hear more about your background for people who didn't get to watch the first episode. Please tell us, how did you get to where you are today?
So my first job was, I always wanted to be a teacher when I was younger. And I got to be an elementary school teacher, special ed teacher. And I just said, this isn't the place for me. But there were therapists, a psychologist and a social worker that would pull the kids out and talk to the families and again, get to the psychological part. So that I went back to school, got my master's in social work, became a clinical psychotherapist. And my background, honestly, has always been looking for, I just created a new program, which we can talk a little bit about too. It's called Under the Hood. Like, how do I actually help somebody change at a fundamental level? Because the body gets triggered before the mind. So that's been my quest, and every training, oh my goodness, so many things, tapping, and it's called EMDR, and all kinds of trauma treatment, always getting underneath how to actually help somebody shift the way that they feel. And so it's had many iterations, workshops, different parts of my life that I've been through, breast cancer and losing my parents in a car accident, a lot of difficult times. And then that level of resiliency, how do I pull myself out? And then once I've gotten through it, then I can help somebody else do it. And so now it has brought me to Mastery Under Pressure, where I'm helping business executives, again, people who are really have tremendous potential, or not quite living the potential that they have.
Tina, you're in the California area, is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
And with the COVID and everything, travel was restricted. So I'm guessing a lot of your business has kind of transitioned over to the more virtual world.
Very much so. My niece was just here, and I said, I wonder when I'll get dressed from the bottom to the top. You know, I'm used to getting dressed from the waist up, and so I miss the live stuff very much. I love people. I love chit chatting and learning about people, and just kind of sitting back. And so it's still challenging. It's just not
Yeah,
quite
here in Texas, yeah,
ready.
I'm sorry. Here in Texas, there's been a fairly wide open in-person meetings for quite a while. And it seems like it's almost the norm. I spoke at a Chamber of Commerce meeting yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. And a lot of people, I think we had 30 people there last month. And ironically, I was at two different military events over a weekend, and I was able to pinpoint one of them as being where I came down with COVID the second time. So even though we're out there, the bug is still there, people are traveling, but it doesn't seem to be the same intensity of fear that I can't leave. I have to stay home.
I travel. We've traveled. My whole family. We came back from New York. We all got it. Even my little 7-month-old granddaughter. My kids are very, very, very protective of her. So anytime we travel, I know that I've got 3, 4, 5 days until I can see her again.
But you went to Colorado for your TED Talk?
I did. I went to Grand Junction, Colorado, and I was told masks don't go over very well over here. So again, but it was wonderful to do it live. But I do think that the audience was smaller because of COVID. So we're waiting for the replay. I'm waiting for the video. So that
there might be a few people in the audience who do not know what a TED Talk is. TED, TEDx. Could you give us a little more information on those?
Sure. So TED is the parent organization, and I don't know how many years ago it started, but it's about sharing ideas. They don't really care how educated you are or where you come from. If you have an idea that can help people, they're interested. And then TEDx are like franchises where local communities get together with TED. They have to follow their exact guidelines, and they get sort of a franchise to be able to hold these events. So they're very prestigious. They're very difficult to get into. I was told that I could probably think about even sending out 85 applications until I got chosen. But they're professional. They're very exciting as a speaker. And once your talk is edited, it goes to TED.com, and they have to vet it. And once it's vetted, it goes onto their YouTube channel. So there's a lot of opportunity, not only for the opportunity to actually go through the experience of speaking, but being able to share it if your marketing is up to speed in your social media, and you can get it going viral and people are really interested in the tags and the title. It can have a tremendous amount of impact.
And Tina, you mentioned that you might have to fill out 85 applications. So how does that work? You just apply to all the different ones around the world and see which one will take you?
Yes, basically, yes. And every year, each one of them has a theme. So your talk has to fit into the theme. Otherwise, they're not, it might be great, but it doesn't fit for that. So the theme that my talk was in was reimagine. And again, it's a wide open topic. It could be reimagine anything. So we had amazing stories. One young woman who had her leg amputated because she was in chronic pain, and they just couldn't do anything. Young, 28, 29-year-old woman. Another guy that had double lung transplant. People's stories were just phenomenal. So yeah, it's great experience.
Tell us about yours.
Yeah, I would love to hear. How did you prepare for it, and what was it like when you were on that stage?
So my husband is the one who said this, and I did hear this from other people. I was probably the most polished speaker because I think I was probably the most practiced. I practiced it over and over and over again. I hired a coach to help me kind of get it organized. I worked with her for about 3 months, and I wrote it out, and then she would give me edits, and then I'd go through the edits. And so we did that about 10 times. And then she said, okay, now it's ready for you to give it to other people who are familiar with TED and what they kind of look for, TEDx coaches. So I gave it to 2 or 3 different groups of people that were Toastmasters or connected to the TEDx. And then I got another string of evaluations and feedback. One woman said to me, "You take feedback very well." I mean, it was all kinds of things, I don't know what you're talking about. And could you do this better and that? And so, but I took all the feedback, I made lists of it, looked for the patterns. I went back, I re-edited again. And then I got to the point where I was ready to do my pitch video because some of the applications require the pitch video. Not every one of them did. And so I did that, and I did it kind of like what we're doing here on Zoom. And then I had a friend on the other end that was, kind of editing it a little bit. And he said it back to me. He said, "Tina," he said, "you nailed it." And I looked at it, it was terrible. I mean, the video was terrible. The audio was terrible. I said, no, I can't do this. So I have a neighbor who is a filmmaker and a videographer. I didn't know him very well, but my husband kept saying, "Knock on the door and see how much he would charge you to do this video." Turns out he's a tennis player. My husband teaches tennis. He said, "Oh, just for a case of tennis balls, I'll do it for you." So I went into his apartment, and he had the whole place lit up like I was really on stage, 3 cameras and mics and all kinds of things. I did it again. I sent it out to the same people. Your energy just wasn't. What about the audience? Went back, I did it again, and I made those corrections. And the third one, I said, that's it. And that's what I sent out. And I sent it to just to 4 places. And this was the 4th that I got accepted. So it was an experience.
That's a lot of work, Tina. That's
Jackie, it's like a company when you say, "Oh my God, I'm making X amount of dollars." Look what went into that, making that first dollar, right? Mm-hmm. And so when it comes off, just like you guys are doing, it comes off easy. I'm good in front of the camera. I'm relaxed. How many trial and errors did it take to get to this place? And so I really want people to appreciate that. Yeah.
If I go online and I do Tina Greenbaum TEDx, I should be able to find it?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'll let you know. Not yet. I haven't even seen the video yet. So they're editing it from the group that I was in. They have professional editors. They'll send it out to us, and then they'll send it on to TED.com.
Okay. So sometime in the next 3, 4, 5 months, whatever?
Yeah, hopefully by then, for sure.
So Tina, what I'd love to know is you put a lot of time and energy and money into hiring people and doing this. So for you, what is the takeaway? What is you're going to reflect and say, "I'm so glad I did this because..."
Several reasons. One is I really love the stage. I love public speaking. I love the experience of it. And so once I learned it well enough, then I could relax and really get myself involved in it, in the emotion of it. So that was great fun. That was number 1. Number 2, my topic was called, the title of my talk was called "Befriend Your Inner Enemy." And it's really about just exactly what I started with. A lot of times people want to change, they just don't know how. And so I started it out with, do you ever get really annoyed with yourself when you get triggered by the same old reactions over and over and over again? And then I go through a whole thing, and I give a little mantra that was this cut, reframe, respond of how you might be able to solve that problem. And so the more I got involved in it, the more inspired I got. I said, this stuff works. I spent my whole entire career kind of figuring out, just like Red was talking, how do we do this? How are we put together? And so I got so excited about sharing it. And the kind of the reflection is, I know how complicated we are as beings. And most people really don't have the clues as to how to get under the hood and to change these body experiences, because the body gets triggered before the mind. And so we talk, and that sometimes changes things, but it's certainly not the whole story. So it's really the inspiration. And now even more, I want to speak more and share more. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I admire your passion.
Might be a good place right now to take a commercial break.
Yes, we're going to take a quick break and hear from some of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So I know, Tina, there's a lot more to share. So everyone, please stay with us, and we'll be back very soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Wise Ones here on USA Global TV and Radio. I'm still Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and this is the program where we spotlight people who are wise, who are knowledgeable, who are experienced, and they bring their true selves, their authentic selves, to help educate all of us. So let's get back to the show. Welcome back, my co-host and friend, Mr. red.olaughlin. Hello, Red.
Howdy.
Hi, and welcome our special guest. Welcome back, Tina Greenbaum. Hi, Tina.
Hi, everybody.
Nice to have you back. So, Tina, you shared a little while ago that you personally have been through a number of things. And of course, to look at you, you look so polished and professional and smiling. We don't know what's going on behind the curtain, so to speak, right? So you work with business leaders and executives who also have challenges personally and professionally. What are some of the first things that you help your clients sort of evaluate and then maybe undo or turn back?
That's a great question. I think probably the first thing I do is listen. Traditional therapy frequently starts with the past and then moves forward. I like to start with the present and then go backwards. What's working, the things that are working, we don't need to touch. There's so many great things that are working with great leaders that's not the problem. So we look at what are the obstacles. And again, it could be personal life, it could be communication, it could be, one of the things I know about great leaders is they see things before other people. And frequently they don't have the patience to either, delegate or wait, or they get annoyed kind of quickly. And so again, it's how to be calm inside so that your mind is very clear and that you're making very, very clear choices. It could be just about anything. What I say is there's only so many themes in the universe: betrayal and abandonment and disappointment and grief and loneliness. But there's an infinite variation on the same theme. And so that every person is unique. And what I pride myself on, and I encourage people to do the same, is to be really a professional listener and really kind of listen to what's underneath the talk. And I think that's kind of where you were leading, JACALYN, what's underneath and how to bring that best self and also be able to not ignore the things that aren't going well. Because the more that we ignore, and Red, you'll be the first one to speak to this, it shows up in the body. And so really learning how to connect the mind and the body. I had a conversation yesterday with a colleague who's had difficulty in her marriage and a whole bunch of other issues that are kind of bubbling up right now because of things that she hasn't dealt with. and she made a very big financial decision that didn't work out really well. And so she's kind of like coming back to, I should have known, I should have known, no, there was no way she could know. And she said, I keep telling myself that. And then I just said to her, I said, let's just kind of go back to that place where you feel like I should have known, I should have known, I should have known. And she stopped for a minute and she says, wow, it's in the pit of my stomach and it's in my back. So that's where we start. And then that brings us back to, well, I can see myself sitting in my household and not opening up my mouth and avoiding things and trying to keep peace and so on. So we don't always have to go back to really long, difficult periods, but we just have to identify the sensation of the pattern. Because when we can recognize, oh, yeah, I get it. That's that part of me that's ready to give up so easily. I don't need to go back to the whole history again. I just need to bring it to my awareness and then make a different choice.
Awareness sometimes is very difficult to get to. Limiting beliefs, for instance. When I was in self-improvement, sometimes we don't want to admit that we have a limiting belief. We don't even see it or even recognize, you say, awareness. And I'm sure you've probably come across some very dynamic people, very successful, but they have a limiting belief that really keeps them from being super successful. You have any clients like that?
Yeah, I do. I've had family members that are like that. People who have ideas about money. They work really, really hard to make money, and then somehow or other they sabotage it because underneath perhaps is a limiting belief that making too much money is not a good thing, that their association with making a lot of money is with people who are money hungry and grabbers, and they don't want to be like that person. So it shows up in the behavior, and it shows up in the sabotage. I say I want this, and then yet I'm not doing it. So my question is always, so how come? And limiting beliefs, you're right, are probably the hardest thing to change and the most difficult to find because they are deeply, deeply unconscious. And in my program, though, I'm Mastered Under Pressure program, I have a couple modules that we work specifically just on that, raising your level of awareness. Just notice. Okay, and now that I notice, is it my belief? Where did it come from? I always tell the story. My mother loved Heinz ketchup, and I think Heinz ketchup is the best ketchup in the world. I don't know if it really is, but so it's kind of a humorous one. But it's so deeply embedded. Every time I go to the store, I go for Heinz ketchup. So yes, it's a big part of personal growth and transition, and belief systems also. Those limiting beliefs also have so much to do with bias, and so much now we're talking about diversity and inclusion, and having to admit, yeah, that's my bias. That's my unconscious bias. So we can't change anything until we're aware. And that's the very first part of all this change work.
Tina, I just wanted to say I really appreciate your process in that you don't have to take people back decades, because that's a lot of, I feel, where people stop because they don't want to go back and they don't want to relive all of those things again. It's like, no, I'm here in the present. But many people will do that. It's like a therapy session. And I feel like we get bogged down with that. So kudos to you for your approach.
I had a couple that I was working with for just a very short period of time. And the language that they had picked up, in terms of this heavy, heavy, heavy stuff. It was like I was drowning just listening to them. No, I'm a teacher at heart, and I'm really into action. And we only go as far back as we need to. And again, it's not the whole story. You don't have to relive the story and the trauma. We only want the sensation that the body gets triggered by. We can just work with that. And we can do amazing, amazing, amazing things with it. Yeah.
When I'm going through things, particularly in the health and wellness end of the world, I look for awareness first, and then education, and then action. And I think in the same thing, regardless of what our mental state is if we don't recognize it, we're not aware of it, we can't make a change. And then you had that, it's a difficult transition to go from having to do something to wanting to do something. Because once you want to do something, it's like going to college the first time. You have to go there because your parents expected you to, or who knows what. But then again, you get now 10 years out into the industry. Now you go back for an MBA or something, and you want to get it, and your grades change. There's same school, same whatever it may happen to be, but now you want to do it. And if that same transition helps for your inner self, your self beliefs, your health, you start wanting to do things. Whether it's like Dr. JACALYN goes to the gym, about 45 times a week, I think. Because she wants it. She gets a lot of satisfaction out of doing it. But it's those things you got to get to the awareness, and then to have to make a change, and then want to make that change. And then when you're in that stage, boy, everything in the world just happens for you.
So the truth is, Red, that you have to have a bigger reason that'll pull you back to the gym every day. I mean, this morning I went out for a walk. I'm working on Tuesdays and Thursdays to go out for this gorgeous walk by the water, and I kind of come across the water, and you can see the light, just the clouds coming up in the sunlight into the San Francisco skyline. It's like, hello, San Francisco. That feeling, and having that to walk with my whole day, is bigger than, oh, I'm tired, I'm going to stay in bed. So we have to have a bigger reason. Otherwise we get caught into the should I, shouldn't I, particularly around weight and addictions and all kinds of things. It's like, no, I want this. I want the health. And also be willing to go through the beginning part of any new learning curve. It's not always easy and smooth. So that takes good 21 days to build a new habit, 21 to 40 days to build new neural pathways. And you got to repeat it over and over and over and over and over again until it becomes automatic.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. I learned from Red about intermittent fasting, and I have to say, I think I'm 3 months in now, Red?
Probably, easily.
Yeah. So Tina, I'm wondering if you can share with our audience, what does the process look like to work with you? Is it a one and done? Is it a number of opportunities to partner?
Well, it's not one and done. I would love to say, people ask me, could you just do this in one? Sometimes we can handle something in one session, but usually, again, to go through that learning process, it's more than one and done. So I work with individuals in monthly increments. I would honestly say you got to give it at least 3 months. You're just talking, JACALYN, 3 months that you're doing this. 3 months to even begin to start to get the knowledge, and then you can move on from there. So monthly, minimum of 3. And then I have a group program. It's called Mastery Under Pressure. It's a 3-month program, and it's so rich. It starts, I have an assessment we get, starting where you are. There are weekly sessions, coaching sessions with me. There's homework, but the sessions are really short in terms of the modules. And then another session with me and another assessment at the end. And I'm just getting ready to get that accredited by an organization called ISAT for anybody that needs continuing ed credits. So and then I love speaking and teaching and workshops, and I can arrange things because I work for myself and I can organize them in monthly groups. I was just at an organization in New York, and they said, well, we can't do it 3 months in a row, but we could do quarterly, have you come back every quarter. So it can be custom organized.
You're very flexible.
And you can get my book.
So I'd love to, before we conclude, I'd love to have you read from your book for us if you'd enjoy doing that.
Oh, well, let me just find something. I just happen to have one right here.
Yay.
And you didn't have to get up to show us the rest of your apparel today.
That's right. Oh my goodness. Yes. So I talk about meditation. There are many different kinds and definitions of meditation. But for our purposes here, we're going to define meditation as focused concentration. This definition means that when we are hyper-focused on one thing, there are several processes that happen in the brain which have the potential to take us to the quiet, serene place that people associate with meditation. However, there's a big misconception about meditation that I want to clear up. I frequently hear from people, I'm not a good meditator, or I can't meditate, or is that you? Can you relate to that? What these folks mean is that when they sit down to meditate, their mind wanders and they're not able to keep it quiet enough to reach a Zen-like state. The truth is that meditation is a practice. Therefore, even the act of just attempting to hold your focus builds the muscle or the neural pathway that might lead you to a quiet place. So there you go.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. How often would you say a person should start out meditating? In other words, I know I'm a certified meditation teacher, and we had to meditate for 25 minutes each day at our sit, which is a lot when we first started. What do you recommend?
I recommend 3 minutes. Put a timer on if it's really hard for you to do, and then increase the time, because it's going to take time to get to that 20-25 minutes where you're actually enjoying the process.
There's some guided meditation programs too that will get you started and allow you to start that training by listening to some, that whatever the phase you have to go through. That's right. Comfortable for you.
It is, if it's focused, if you're focusing on listening, if you're focusing on, I'm focusing on my glasses, I'm just going to focus and focus and focus on it. Whatever it is, it could be a mantra, it could be a sound, it could be anything that your brain begins to start to narrow down into one single focus, because that's what brings down the brain waves. So, and we have to build up the tolerance for it, and until we get to the place where I can't wait to meditate. It's just like my favorite time of the day. But that takes time, and it's not every day. So I would start just with what you can handle, and then just increase from there.
Thank you very much. Red, I'll leave the last question to you before we close out.
Tina, what do you do for fun?
I do a lot of things. I play tennis regularly. I love to play more. I love to dance. I'm missing I love Zydeco, swing dancing, ballroom dancing, Tuesday nights, but I haven't gone back to dancing inside yet. I love to hike. I love my family. I love music. I love movement. I just love to move, stretching. But I got to say that tennis and dancing and being outdoors is my favorite.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Tina, while we have you on Spotlight, for people who are not able to read the banner or they're listening on the radio, who should contact you, and what's the best way to do that?
The best way to do that is to send me an email, tina@masteryunderpressure.com, or you can go to my website, which is going to be under reconstruction very shortly. It is, but it's still working. So masteryunderpressure.com. All you have to do is either my name, Tina Greenbaum, or Mastery Under Pressure. I've been on lots of wonderful podcasts and got lots of content out there and things on YouTube and all kinds of things to help people.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for being such a lovely guest and for coming back to see us again. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you both.
When your TEDx is edited and you have it available, we'd love to have you come back and we'll pull it up. How long is your talk?
Right. That's great to me. Thanks again.
Thank you. All right. Take care. Bye for now.
I think most TEDx talks are generally around 10 to 12 minutes or rarely longer. So I think it would be easy enough to have it on the show. Excellent.
All right, Red, your Talking Head show is coming up next, but I'd love to spotlight you right now and have you share with our audience how they can connect with you and who you'd like to reach out to.
Everything for my connection is on my website, red.olaughlin.com. Red like the color RED, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN. So red.olaughlin.com has my phone number, email address, other information there. I have about 1,500 blogs on my website, primarily dealing with health and wellness. But if you need a speaker on a topic in the health and wellness area where you want to know the cause, what do we do about it, as opposed to just treating symptoms, I love that particular aspect of speaking. And beyond that, as Dr. JACALYN mentioned earlier, I'm an independent publisher. If you have a book that you think would help you in your business or personal life, memoir, whatever it may have to be, more than happy to chat with you about that and talk to you about publishing. So, Dr. JACALYN, back to you.
Thank you, Red. I appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you over in the other studio for the next show.
I'll head over there right now.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye now.
Thank you, everyone. Just a few updates before we close out. I started a new show. It's actually going to take place next week, and I'm inviting each and every one of you to book in for a session. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Here's the graphic. The show is called Rapping with Dr. JACALYN, a show about nothing. Now, what does this mean? Well, the first show I started with before we had this platform was Rapping with Dr. JACALYN. And it was a 30-minute show where people would come in and just share what was going on with them. And I got it trademarked. And I thought, wouldn't it be nice to just have a show without any topic or any theme, and people just book in and we talk about whatever it is that comes up for that day. It could be what you do over the weekend, how are you feeling, what are you working on? Just things that people would sit and have a chat about without any pressure. So you can go over to our website, which is usaglobaltv.com, and you can book your session for that show or any of our other shows. Also, I have a new opportunity for everyone because people have reached out and asked me about this. What if you have a desire to co-host a show, but you just want to do it once or once in a while, without any pressure to be here every week or find guests? We have that opportunity for you now. You can be a guest co-host for a show. Go over to our website, again, usaglobaltv.com. And even if you're already on our platform and you'd like to co-host on another show, that's okay. Go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com. All right. Thank you so much. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, I repeat this all the time. The statistics from the channel show, the data shows that the people watching are completely male from 45 to 54. There are no females and no people who identify as neither. So I'm not sure where you all are, but I would love for you to go to our channel and subscribe. We'd love to have you as part of our family. All right. Thanks so much. We're going to head over and meet Red. We'll be back very shortly. Please stay where you are. Thank you. Bye.